intro countdown, right?
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another attempt at the Only Friends podcast, live from the PCA Bahamas.
We're here.
We're a little light today.
We are.
We're going to give you the whole spiel of the intro because you guys missed a golden one.
Mm-hmm.
We fixed the sound issues. I hope. We are here. We are Conradless.
We are.
Because he got it popping last night, ladies and gentlemen. There was a players' party, and the last contact we've heard, you know what? We have to make this official. We have to put out a CSA. No, not a Conrad service announcement.
No.
A public Conrad service announcement. The PCSA right now putting an APB out on Conrad Simpson. If anybody has seen the man who gets it popping, please let us know of his whereabouts.
I said it popped. I think it finally popped.
It's done.
He's done. Last contact we've had from Conrad was about 4 a.m, where he said, Jesus Christ, I can't find the keys. But he didn't have the keys to the car. The car was at the house. He never had his car.
Never had his car. He never had his whereabouts.
No. He might pop up. You never know. But we doubt it. Well, so just look out for him, please.
So to break this down, we're not trying to... Don't confuse the PCSA with the PCS... No, PCPC.
There's a lot of P's and C's.
Poker Stars play
Mind your P's and
PSPC
C's.
from the PCA putting an APB out on Conrad Simpson, who's LGIP.
That's facts, for real.
Bussin'. And as I said, it is another very, very special day, as it is Oprah Winfrey's birthday.
Oh, we lost Henry too.
Yeah, we did lose Henry.
That's the other special
try to
part.
skirt past this segment.
Henry lost
listen.
yesterday in poker, so he couldn't make it.
Listen, everybody, it is Oprah Winfrey's birthday.
No one
but
cares
it's
about Oprah.
also Matt Berkey's birthday. Happy birthday, Berkey.
There goes
Happy
the sound.
birthday, Matt.
There it is. Ben came on the screen to wish you happy birthday, giving you those eyes. Man, he's really pumped up about it.
That looks sexual.
It does.
A little creepy. I'm not.
Welcome to 40. You're lucky I didn't put a Dave Matthews Band song on there for your number 41.
I can't
birthday.
hear it. It's fine. Is that the name of the song? Number 41.
Number 41. Yeah. Berkey's 41.
Don't listen to Dave.
He's
Matthews.
you've reached my age. Welcome.
You know,
I'm
I feel
no
like
longer older than you.
I feel like this podcast did me a disservice because I think prior to us launching this and Melissa making it a meme that I'm
people
old.
thought you were like 32.
Not 32, but like, you know,
That's guapo.
like just permanently 35. Like I'm in that mid 30s range. Like no one knows how old Galfond is. He's somewhere between 33 and 39.
33 and 50. We don't know.
Yeah, it's just like he's in his 30s, and he will forever be in his 30s until he's just not in his 30s.
Until he's just 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see the beard get a little bit grayer by the
Listen,
year.
Burke, you just keep eating healthy. Keep eating that shredded chicken. Keep going to the gym, and all will be well. You look good.
Chicken
You
and
look good,
rice.
cuz. You look good.
Cuz.
I gotta
Where's
say.
Cuz at? I saw Cuz in the hallway.
I always see him just around talking about something.
I'm like, Cuz, we need to get you back on. Anything you need, Cuz. Anything you need. Just let me know. I'm in.
I hope we get him back.
That'd be a great.
That'd be a nice
impromptu.
birthday.
Is this a public cuz service announcement?
No. It is.
We will be joined by a guest today. Matt Hunt is going to join us around
Finally.
11 o'clock,
Mr.
top
Hunt.
of the hour. I didn't want to bore him with the, the non-poker related conversations. He's proper. He's
Straight
a
and
proper
narrow,
grit.
man.
You got to stop doing that.
I really do.
Every time you do it, the whole mic just goes.
I know.
I'm
I'm Italian. I don't know if you
I'm
do that.
aware.
Yeah. Well, we talk with our hands. This is what we do.
Look, I know. I get
I mean,
it.
you can tie them behind my back. That might be the only way.
I'm not into your kink.
Don't yuck my yum.
I'm not going to yuck your yum, but I also don't want to partake. He's a proper Brit. I feel like, he didn't want to be involved in the Where is Conrad game that we're going to play.
No.
Seriously, though, if you
He'd
guys
just shake his head.
If you guys know where Conrad, if he's in a local Bohemian jail, we need to know so we can make a proper cost-benefit analysis of whether or not to get him out.
We have a CBA, and we also CBA to have him back.
CPA. No.
Can't be asked. It's like
APB.
It's a Euro thing, man.
Considering how quickly he sells out, I think the community would get him out pretty quick.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, we're gonna have to tack on a little extra markup. Bail Conrad out of jail.
Right, that's what the markup money goes to.
That's the markup money.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to the current events. Man, I'm thirsty. We have a few things to announce here from the PCA. A lot of things going on. We're down to the final table, of course. So there is 6 remaining. I am not very familiar with these 6, but Landon tells me that we are meant to keep an eye out for the man third in chips. Artur, help me. Matrosian. I could have got that one.
Yeah.
I just got intimidated by a big Russian word.
Mm-hmm.
That's on me, man.
It's crazy how much you love big words but can't do names.
I don't love big words. I just here's the thing. Like I don't purposefully like reach for words. It's if you notice, like a lot of the bigger words that I use are very specific to like sciencey words because I read a lot of sciencey stuff. Okay. So it just like works its way into my lexicon. Mm-hmm. But like I don't prefer
lexicon.
It is a good word though.
That's a very scientific word for vocabulary.
I know.
It's a big word
for me.
It's a word that it doesn't get used very often.
It's an uncommonly used word.
It's very common in the things I read.
Fair enough.
That's because you're a gentleman and a scholar.
All right. Anyway, we have our final 6 here, playing for 1.5 million.
A lot of money to be dished
$1 million
out.
to second place. Chip leader is Pedro Neves from Portugal. Second in chips is Alexandre Raymond from Canada. Third, Artur. I'm so intimidated by this word. Matrosian. I got it.
You did it.
Fourth in chips is going to be just barely Michael Dantini from Portugal. Fifth is Christoph Kasich.
Jamil Wakil.
Maybe it's Seek.
And then finally is Jamil Wakil, who's pulling up the rear. It looks like he's going to be coming in very short. Everybody else is very flat. So 6.2 million to the chip leader, 3.9 million to fifth in chips. So less than a 50% disparity there. It's going to be a deep stack final table. The PCA, obviously, always fantastically structured. I imagine we're going to see a lot of gameplay. I think that the live stream kicks off here on delay at noon, so I imagine it's a 30-minute delay. 12:30, you guys will be able to see that at home if you want to sweat all the action. A couple notables here that bubbled the TV final table, I should say. Taylor Parr, obviously, got 8th place for 181K, and Jonathan Little came up in 9th. Also, big shout out to my man Clint Tolbert, who finished 14th. Can't believe I forgot. I was so out of it yesterday.
Man, he got 14th? I didn't even know.
I knew he was coming in to the final 16, but I was so dead tired yesterday. Like, most of the finer details slipped my mind. Apologies for overlooking that, Clint. Congratulations on a deep run. He's been making some noise lately. So
I feel like you won't hear from Clint, and then all of a sudden he's just like right in the mix in like one of these major tournaments.
Yeah, I think he's been working a little bit harder. I was talking to Ben about it. They're obviously very good friends.
Right.
I think he's like re-inspired to pursue poker. I mean, he's
Love it.
he has businesses and all kinds of other shit. But
Business, family, right?
I think he's grinding, man.
Good for him.
He's on the grind.
Get out there, Clint. Get that glory.
Getting a little something.
Yeah.
Landon made a little money yesterday.
I did. Yeah.
He didn't even play poker.
No, I
Congrats.
lost money playing poker actually. Well, Andy got second in the mystery bounty. He got 9 min bounties though. But Andy, you're doing the Lord's work, buddy.
The swap god strikes again.
Swap God strikes again. So Swap God's really good at his job. I'm so good at showing up and playing tournaments and losing my all-ins.
Would you just swap with me so I can just win something finally, please?
I have to tell you.
That's what it's gonna take.
I swap with him all the time. I don't win shit.
Yeah, I gave you 1K in Florida.
Yeah.
This is. Every
Listen,
time
I give out some money, I get a lot of money back. That's how it works.
It's called investing, Matt.
I'm so happy that I got 4th in that stupid ring event so
Fuck
that I
you.
didn't have to give you your swap.
You got 6th in the ring event. If you got
Whatever.
4th, you would have given me money.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I knew that was a notable reason.
Yeah.
Good. You know what? Shout out to Pollux. I'm glad you had queens.
It hurts you more than it hurts me. I don't take it all, man. I just
But
take
I don't
5.
care. I don't want the money.
Yeah. Spite.
I want the spite.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal. When I start winning all ins, it's over for y'all bitches.
It's over, baby.
It's over.
Festivities are still kicking off. Today is obviously the eve before the PSPC. So there's a lot to look forward to still. I'm going to be playing $300 down bad satellites all day today as step tournaments to get into the $2,700.
Amazing. Berkey's out there in the 300s.
Got it.
You have to. But like they literally make you play the 300.
They have to.
Right.
You're getting like I think it's like I didn't do the calculations, but it's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like, I don't know, 20% auto ROI by just regging.
What?
Well, because they're adding like 3 or 4 seats to the next satellite.
Right. So it literally doesn't matter how many of these 300 you play as long as you can just get into the 2,700.
Yeah, actually, that's a good. It's kind of a good counterpoint. I'm not sure where the ROI comes. So like you have an auto ROI if you make it into the next step.
Right.
But does that mean that you have an auto ROI in the previous step? I guess so.
You do.
Well, yeah, fair. But I mean, I guess like it only applies to the 300 because you can't really buy into the next step.
Right.
Right. It's phase 2.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you're probably those 300. This is gonna be the toughest $300 super satellite of all time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I saw K-Rab want a seat the other day.
K-Rab's in it. You're in it. Landon, you jumping in?
I'm tired, man.
He's tired.
and hungry.
Landon only slept like 8 hours tonight, so he's super tired. And he only had like 15 pancakes, so he's super hungry.
That's true.
Dude, they were so good.
Guava's like, you're like a newborn. He couldn't have hit the analogy any better. All you do is eat, sleep, and shit.
Right.
Listen, man, I'm going through an illness right now, but I'm all right. My ear thing.
Let's relax onto the illness part.
Yeah,
thing.
I'm pretty sure you're
just tired, man. Let me sleep and let me cook.
Let him cook.
I go to the gym.
How was your cooking last night at the players' party?
Uh,
You're out there mingling.
Yeah, let
It
us
was
know.
alright.
Who'd you meet last night?
Oh yeah, Robbie introduced herself to me. I said hello. How you doing?
You ask you any questions?
Yeah, she asked me about my sex life. That was nice. Like, you fucking? I'm like, sometimes, sure. All right, let him cook. Man, it was all right. And then
Did you tell her I said my best?
no, I didn't.
I literally texted the group. I said, tell Robbie I said hi.
Listen, man, I dropped
With a big
the ball.
heart emoji.
I got ambushed. You know, her and Darren ambushed me.
If you see her again, will you let her know that from day one I've been 99%?
Yes.
Papo, for you, anything.
All right. Gracias.
Did you see Conrad at the party?
I did, yeah.
And then when was the last contact you had with him? Do you remember?
The last contact I had with
How was he doing? How did he look?
I mean,
did he look like he was having a good time?
He was in the cabana talking to Hunachin, having a good time.
Yeah.
Getting it popping, keeping it popping.
You know he hadn't slept.
Him?
Yeah.
Conrad?
He also, I mean, he dealt the game that I was in, so like he also had been up for 40. Well, at that point,
He didn't sleep throughout the day at all. Yes.
he didn't sleep. Period.
He closed his eyes,
so
honestly.
He had been up since 6 a.m.
Yeah.
He dealt throughout
The
the
day
day
prior.
right? And then stayed up and then went partied all night.
Correct.
So he
did fall asleep at the kitchen table
For
for
like
like
12
20
minutes.
minutes. Yeah. And had decided that was the equivalent of a full night's sleep.
Okay.
And was gonna go get it popping.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, the food there was also pretty good. A little bit unsalted, but that's all right.
We
Oh
love
my
our salt
God!
here.
Look!
What are we looking at?
Oh my
There
God.
he
Here it
is.
comes. It's
Oh,
like
is
the
that him?
Undertaker. It's like the Undertaker.
Oh my
Call off
God.
the search! Call off the search!
We
Call
found-
off the search!
Bro,
Here he comes!
I don't like this.
This is unbelievable. He's got a shot with him.
I think that's water, bro.
I don't know. It looks pretty. Doesn't look like water. It looks like seawater, maybe. There he
What
is.
is poppin', everybody, and welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast.
Hold up.
Well, you know,
Let him
I'm here with my Only
go.
Friends.
He sounds so down bad right now. It sounds like a cry for
Hey,
help.
listen, he made it. He's here. What up, Conrad? What's poppin', baby?
Yo, my fucking head hurts.
I
I lost the
bet.
car. I lost the car keys last
No,
night,
no,
guys.
you didn't.
No,
You
no.
didn't.
You didn't.
You never had the
You
car.
never had your car.
Look at
You
his face
gave
right now.
You gave in your drunken stupor. You gave the keys to Henry, and he brought the car back home. with
I am
Landon.
a fucking genius.
You're so smart, dude.
Wait, when did I find Henry?
Huh? Like 10. This is like 10:30
Bro.
in the chat that you gave your keys to him.
Maybe
But you-
he's the one
And
with
then
the
at
illness.
4 in the morning, you said,
look
"I
like
lost the
you
keys."
look like you're trying out for an extra in Passion of the Christ.
You don't look good, cuz.
Yo, listen, let me tell you guys something real quick. I am fucked up right now.
Hold on. I need to
Jesus.
continue this. Henry and I were
gonna
talking
be
about this yesterday.
a show.
Why can't you say the word special?
Special?
Yeah, that's fine. Why don't you say it like that when you say we're here for a special episode?
And why are they all special? They can't all be special.
They're very special.
You just mind your goddamn business.
Listen.
Anything I want can happen.
Today is definitely a special episode.
He said special.
Special. Yeah, you're right. I can't. There's a lot of letters I can't say. Like, a lot of words that Conrad can't just say. Like,
Especially drunk.
Listen,
Special.
I'm
How was the
one
party,
thrilled
Conrad?
that you're okay.
How was the
Doing
party? We had to make a PCSA, a public Conrad service announcement, to put an APB out on your ass.
Oh,
see where you're at. Where did you
Because
sleep?
you were MIA.
I woke up on a couch.
Whose?
I woke up on a couch upstairs.
Wow. Wait, in like the public lobby?
Yeah.
Oh my
It
god.
was just like, I was like on floor 17, just like on the middle of the couch.
How are
like,
you not
where the
in jail?
elevators are.
Well, he didn't do anything illegal.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
I was just taking a nap.
Yeah.
I thought that they just, removed homeless people
No.
whenever they tried to shack up in a public
No,
domain.
no.
No.
I said, don't worry, my friends stay here.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they said,
okay.
okay.
Oh, you do have a bracelet, I guess. That serves you well.
I
You guys are
gotta
idiots. I
tell
fell
you,
asleep on-
you don't look good, cuz.
What's going?
Oh my god, I'm so drunk. I haven't had tequila in a very long time. man.
Is that more tequila right there? What is that? Water?
Oh, this is anything I can do to save my life at the moment.
You know that you I'm sure you know, maybe you don't, but you realize that you had been on like 40 hours of no sleep.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too.
Why did we let him off the hook about the car and the keys so fast?
Oh, I know.
You guys really, really fucked
What a
up.
mistake.
Right.
I
I
honestly
mean-
have zero recollection of seeing Henry last night.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, we thought the car was gone too. I went outside and saw they were both there. Keys were here. I was like, okay, phew. At least the
Yeah.
car's here. Conrad's missing, but the car's not.
Yeah, I was super surprised about that. Honestly, I went to the security desk like 4 to 5 times.
Jesus
Oh.
I
Christ.
just went right now.
All right. Getting this train back on the tracks.
Yeah, good luck.
As I had mentioned, there are a lot of events going on at PCA today. Finding Conrad apparently being one of them. Very notable. We had a real search party out there. A lot of satellites today for the PSPC main. Tomorrow, there's a big schedule of events. If you guys are interested in seeing more of what's to come schedule-wise, you can always download the PokerStars Live app. Or, and hear me out on this one, big shout out to our partners, poker.org, who launched Poker.org. What is it, Poker.org Live?
Poker.org Instant.
Poker.org Instant, my bad. So this is an app that is a curated feed of all the happenings of the event that's taking place right now. I think we have a video that will explain it far better than what I just did. So basically, it's like Twitter for poker updates.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it seems genius.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, having spoken with the guys behind the scenes at Poker.org, that this was something that they were moving towards, both like the long form content and then like the short form curated content. So really excited to see that pop off. And I imagine that's going to be a nice, quick access point for updates and any information that you may need for any of the stops that you're at. So check that out if you're
download it,
interested
sure.
in sweating the PSPCA, the PCA main event final table, the PSPC as that kicks off tomorrow, or the CSA update on the whereabouts of Jesus Christ, man. Pick
Berkey.
yourself up.
What
Take
you
a day
doing,
off,
Berg?
mate.
Take a day off, man.
I tried and then I woke up.
I will say I appreciate your dedication. the seeing you sprint down here in clothes that you've been wearing for literally 3 days now.
Excuse me, I showered and changed.
Oh, that's true. We did get back to the house.
Don't do that to me.
My bad.
Don't do that to me.
Right.
I don't want to shame you. My
You've
fault.
only been wearing for 23 hours.
Yeah.
Was it even that? It might be about that.
Yeah, about
No.
that one.
Yeah, sure.
Give or take.
At this point.
Who knows? We've been waiting to talk about this for some time because we've been waiting for a day where we didn't have a lot of stuff on our plate to discuss. But huge shout out to our home poker room, if you will. I shouldn't say that, but like a Las Vegas home poker room. Wynn
Home
Millions is
adjacent.
back. They are, and man, I have to tell you, this is genius, and it's something that doesn't happen in Las Vegas enough. Like this schedule that they're putting out for Wynn Millions here in March, so March 3rd through the 11th, is going to be a stop worth coming to, and that's something that I haven't seen in Vegas a lot. It's rare that casinos put together a schedule that's worth traveling for in Las Vegas, in my opinion.
The main event is 3,500.
3,500, which is obviously mirroring what WPT does, but the entire prelim and postlim schedule also largely mirrors what WPT's been doing at a lot of these stops. So this kind of looks like a Sherpo stop, right? It has a 1.5 million guarantee. Is the main 1.5?
The main's more than that.
Yeah, sorry. The main is 2 million guarantee. The opener, I believe, is the 1.5 million guarantee. They have, oh no, sorry. The main is a 3 million guarantee. There, I see it in front of me now.
Right.
Don't mind me. Then they have a $1.5 million guarantee mystery bounty
What's the
that
buy-in there?
is a $1,600 buy-in.
That sounds juicy.
They have an opening event, I believe, that's $1 million guarantee, and then a post-lim that's also $1 million guarantee in the 1,600 buy-in range or 2K buy-in range.
Yeah,
whatever.
it seems super clean, and it's not a lot of time, right, from the 3rd to the 11th. So it's not this drawn-out 2 to 3 week span where you kind of have to make this big trip.
Right. It's just come for a week, jam-packed with events. Play them all. Tortoise in
Yeah.
the main. Let's go.
I actually misspoke. The 1.5 million guarantees are post-lims, but they have a 200K prelim opener that's probably going to have like 2 million in the prize.
That's what
what's that?
happened during the.
200K is going to 2 million.
I'm serious. It's
What's-
a $600 buy-in. It's
man,
how
that
many
sounds
days
juicy.
is it?
It's probably about a 2-day.
Oh yeah, it's only 2-day ones. Okay, so it's only gonna get like
500
1,500 runners,
Probably
Yeah.
like 500K.
2K runners.
500K in the pool.
I will be one of them.
500 to $1 million.
I mean, 2K runners would be like 1.2.
Yeah.
I think they could do that.
Oh my God, I might be a little drunk, but it looks like Bracelet Hunt.
He's here.
There
That's
he is.
Bracelet Hunt.
Man, they keep pouring
Just
in.
the nick of time.
We got him. Yeah, right down here. Mr. Hunt in the building.
Listen, I don't need to be on here. I love you guys. I'll see you guys later.
Wait, no. What do you do? We have a spot for him.
We just need a chair. Pull up a chair.
All right.
Yep.
Never mind, I'm back.
Sorry, Hunt. We were running a little late. We had technical difficulties, so you're gonna have to suffer through a little GPI talk as well. But welcome.
Good to be here. Hey guys.
How's the sun, man?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, you look good. You're
I'm
not,
doing
you're not
okay.
burnt.
I'm not burnt. Like I've been walking outside. Like there's been enough cloud cover to keep me safe, so I'm good.
It has been a bit on the wet side, which I guess is to be expected. It's the Bahamas. It's gonna rain. I'm used to it whenever we go to Florida. It rains like almost always when I'm there, and somehow we've gotten lucky the last few times. So running into some storms here hasn't been too tough.
For those of you who don't know, Matt Hunt is head of content at Solve for Why, and he just crushes it. Just make sure we get great content out to everybody out there.
yeah.
Is this your
Thank you,
first
Brian.
appearance on the podcast?
It is, I believe. Yeah.
It is his first, yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
It's overdue.
You
for
guys
sure.
seem to spend half your time talking about the NFL, so I figure
Right,
I don't
exactly.
need to be there for that.
We're
Wait
sparing
until
you
the season
for real.
ended. There are championship games today. We won't get into it. We were trying to have you on during the Win. You made a deep run in
I did, yes.
what was the event?
It
That
was
was
the WPT Prime, I believe.
That's right.
Was the name
Right.
Of it, the 1100.
They got
yeah.
over 5,000 entries, I believe.
5,500,
I got a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got like what? Like
I got eighth.
eighth. Wow.
Yeah, pretty happy with that result.
Yeah, definitely a hell of a run.
First was just a cool million.
700, something like that.
It was like
Oh.
720.
I mean, you don't want to waste your time on a
Six-figure score?
Sub seven-figure score.
I didn't need to come back for the TV final table. It's fine.
That's right.
Eighth was fine.
Yeah.
Of course, somehow Landon swapped to the top of that one. Just
You
like
had
he does every fucking
Oh,
event
that's right.
he's
You had
ever
a piece
played.
of Steven's songs.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, swap god.
really?
This kid is literally the swap god. Like, I don't understand. Like, he just.
Fine, you've never seen anything like it before.
Huh?
I've never seen anything like
No,
it
he
before.
runs so fucking pure. It's so sick.
I run
Like-
pure when other people run pure. I
Swapping with
won
Steve
my
Song.
win. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
if you swap with Steve Song, you're going to run pure because
Yeah,
Steve
it's
Song
true.
runs pure. So
That's true.
That is true.
But it doesn't matter. Whoever Landon like swaps with, they just turn the like gold times 50.
Alchemy.
They just.
How's your experience been here at the Bahamas so far, Matt?
Good, yeah. I mean, I've been running pretty bad, so the poker's not actually been going great.
You
but,
played a lot of events?
Yeah, I've been playing pretty much every day. Like yesterday was the first full day off that I've taken. Just been kind of firing whatever's going on, But wanted to take a little bit of time off before the 25K tomorrow, so not really playing this weekend. But it's been good. The event's great. The events run really well. Maybe a bit tougher fields than what I'm accustomed to back in Vegas.
Right.
A lot of the European regs are good players these days. So the 1Ks here are not like the 1Ks back at the Wynn or whatever. But yeah, it's been good. It's a really well-run event, and I'm enjoying being here.
Safe to say this event tomorrow, the 25K, will be your biggest buy-in event?
It will, yeah. My first 25K. I'm excited to play it. Hopefully they get a really big field. I know they've got something like 400 Platinum Pass winners out there.
This is why we train, right?
Yeah,
This is why we
indeed,
train.
this is what we train for. So I'm excited.
Speaking of training, I saw you just put out a video for GTO Wizard
That is right. Yes.
a few days ago.
Yeah, Thursday I think it came out.
Yeah, I watched it. It's very good.
Thank you.
You've been doing a lot more of this sort of ICM work as of late.
I
How
have.
much do you feel like it's actually impacting your bottom line?
A fair amount, actually. I think that the main, what it's done for me, I suppose, is taken a lot of stuff that I sort of intuitively thought was correct previously, and it's put boundaries on like what's actually mathematically correct. You know what I mean? So it's like it's taken stuff that was intuition before, and now I actually have a pretty clear sense of like where the guidelines are and how to actually adjust in a more nuanced way. So it's helped a lot, and I especially think it's the kind of work that not a lot of guys out there are doing. I've seen even stuff from like the stream of the final few tables of the PCA main. Like I'm seeing like really high level regs doing stuff where I'm like, well, if you actually did an ICM sim for that with 50 players remaining or whatever, then this big blind defend or this 3-bet or whatever would probably actually not be great. So I think there's a lot of stuff out there that's still not very well understood by the player pool at large.
Yeah. What's your opinion on it? Because I think a byproduct of that, at least at the highest levels, is that we understand the ICM model is like relatively flawed. What's your opinion? Have you heard much about like the DCM model?
I haven't, but I have heard of. There are a couple of other models that are out there that are designed to not necessarily replace ICM, but sort of provide an alternative to it in terms of how we understand the value of a certain chip stack. And the X factor, or I think the thing that none of the models seem to be able to account for, is the idea that a certain stack usually has more value than what it seems like because of what the future spots are going to be like. You know what I mean? So like ICM traditionally undervalues having the chip lead because it can't take into account the fact that when you have the chip lead, people are going to fold to you more in future spots, and you're going to be deeper against some of the other stacks, and your edge is going to be bigger as a result, and things like that. So I haven't heard of DCM specifically, but I know there are a bunch of models out there, and they all have very slightly different ways of calculating stuff, and it'll be interesting to see if something eventually replaces ICM altogether as the sort
like
of
a more
best model.
comprehensive version of ICM?
Yeah. It's really just a question of taking into account as many variables as we can. We're looking for a model that can account for everything, and it's super difficult to come up with one. But thankfully, the mathematicians out there who have a lot more qualifications in math than I do are doing most of this work, and we just have to try and understand it all.
Lando, was that you that was the one who first like told me about the DCM model?
I mean, I heard about it through friends, but just kind of idea being that shorter stacks, you kind of want to gamble more, where there's like more upside. Just kind of depending on. I'm sure like payout structure means a lot more than we inherently give it credit for in some spots, I'm sure. But I mean, there's a lot of different theories, and people have the theory of ICM is for poor people. People have the theory that ICM is for rich people. So there's a lot of different theories floating around out there. A lot of different information. So we're figuring it out.
Yeah, I think ICM is a very stark reminder of just how, I don't want to say how little we know about the game, but like how early we are in really discovering and modeling how the game works, especially with the wrinkles that can get thrown in. Like tournament poker in and of itself is a wrinkle, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, right.
it's a derivative of the original game, which is just cash games where the blinds stay fixed, and fixing variables in an infinitely complex game is really critical to being able to model.
Right.
So whenever you have escalating blinds and the inability to fix stacks, like it's no longer 100 big blind poker, right? It's just varying stack poker. That's the other thing that I think becomes very difficult whenever you're doing ICM work is every formation is almost a unique formation in and of itself, right? So it's like whatever the distribution of stacks are, that matters. And as long as that matters, it's impossible to model.
Right.
Because there are almost infinite combinations of what the stack depths could actually be.
Yeah, and this was kind of the basis of the course I just put out on the site, which you guys can check out. All the sims are wrong. Like I wanted to call it that because I wanted something that would encapsulate the idea that like if you're just looking at chip EV sims, then you're only seeing one part of the puzzle, because your 30 big blind strategy for a certain spot is going to literally be different if you have 30 big blinds and the average stack is 30 big blinds versus if you have 30 big blinds and the average stack is 50 big blinds. Like it's literally a different spot, and it's the same, it's a different spot if you've got 60% of the field remaining compared to if there's 30% of the field remaining. That sort of thing. Like we didn't until recently have the ability to solve the difference between those two spots, but we have to accept that they're different spots. And if you just take a chip EV strategy for both of them, like you're going to miss opportunities.
Yeah, I also imagine there are a bunch of other variables where like the best we can do is just kind of use our intuition. But let's say that a table gets stacked up where with 3 tables remaining, like half of the chips in play are at one table. And then the other half is distributed amongst the other 2 tables. Like the strategy of the deep table has to be altered tremendously because their risk premium is through the roof,
Right.
where the other 2 tables are like the ones that they're waiting out, who are kind of incentivized to play cooperatively and just trade blinds
Right.
until the structure catches up.
I had the inverse of this in a tournament I played at Venetian like maybe 4 months ago or something. It was a small field and I played day 1A, and we were playing down to the money on 1A, and the money for that day, there was going to be 13 people make it into the money and make it through day 1. And so we got to the point where we had 2 tables with 9 each, obviously. And then from 18 down to the bubble at 13, or rather from 18 down to 14, all the bust outs happened on my table.
Wow.
And the other table didn't bust anybody. In fact, it was 18 down to the bubble. It was five bust outs happened at my table. And the other table, everyone was just getting shorter and shorter and just trading blinds, and the short stacks weren't busting. And our table was still like relatively deep. So we were playing some crazy situations where we got to like the bubble, and there's 1 or 2 spots left to the bubble, but we're all kind of aware that the other table, everybody's playing so tight that it's actually going to take quite a while for somebody to bust, even though the average stack on the other table is like 12 bigs.
Right.
So it was such an interesting and weird kind of a dynamic there.
So can you talk a little bit about how you approach studying these spots whenever there are like basically when there lacks the ability to kind of model out the average case?
Yeah. So I think studying them really requires understanding the principles of how the calculations work, so that you can approximate when when there's too many variables to calculate. So for example, knowing that ICM is based on the idea that your chance of getting first scales linearly with your chip stack. So if you have 30% of the chips in play, ICM is going to assume that you are going to win the tournament 30% of the time. But your chance of getting each other position is not going to scale linearly. So your chance of getting second, third, fourth, fifth, etc., it's not going to be exactly a linear progression. So what you have to kind of do is understand like where the upside is in terms of what are the things that the model can't account for. So like the model can't account for example, like if I double up in this spot and I have the chip lead, the model can't account for the fact that this table is really soft and I'm going to be able to just pick up blinds because nobody's defending their big blind enough. Or the model, conversely, if you're in a really tough event, the model can't account for the fact that like I'm in a field of crushers and, people aren't going to be folding a ton and I'm really going to have to fight for every chip. So taking this flip at a certain stack size where it's a bit of a marginal spot, it's actually going to serve me better because I'm going to be better equipped to deal with some of the tougher spots that are going to come up, So it's a question of understanding what the model can't account for, and then like making your best guess as to if there was a model, like how would we incorporate that stuff,
Yeah. I find personally that, and it's funny because I don't study tournaments that much, so what I'm about to say sounds a little bit contradictory, but I find that inability to arrive at answers or actual conclusions and confident models to be more fascinating and much more of an interesting point of study than pretty well modeled scenarios like cash games where the variables are relatively fixed. And I think it's because of the discovery aspect of it, right? Like you're just going to stumble onto so many new concepts that are going to have validity and merit to them, but can't necessarily be confidently fleshed out to the point where you just say like, this is definitely a thing.
Yeah, for all the stuff that we think we know about the game, the more you realize it's like studying the ocean, right? It's like we look at the ocean and we only know so little, but there's like this want to kind of figure out everything at once, where we think we have so much more information now that's like newer and smarter, but at the same time, a lot of the stuff is very unaccounted for, and we like to try to put things in neat little boxes because it makes sense in that way.
I think the difference between like studying space or the ocean or the brain, things that we have like little vision over compared to poker, is that when new information arises, the science world gets very excited at new hypotheses, and they frame it that way. Whereas in our community, when we stumble onto something like risk premium is something that's like a relatively new thing, it's just a thing, right? Like it just becomes concrete. Like if you don't understand risk premium, you're a bad poker player.
Yeah,
that type of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I remember when I was in high school, there was a class called Theory of Knowledge, where like you talk about like how you actually know something, and there'd always be this annoying question in high school when you're like 15, 16, like I don't want to fucking deal with this, and it would always be like, it would start with to what extent, right? Because all these things can be true, but to what extent are they true, and how much does it matter?
Yeah.
Right? Because when you say risk premium is a thing, right? To what extent is risk premium important?
Impact your,
and how much does it impact your actual win rate, bottom line, this, that, whatever.
Speaking of, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, Matt. I played the Mystery Bounty Midday 2, came in with, piles of chips like 90K, and you could max late reg and come in with, I think, 20 or 25.
Yeah.
25 bigs, maybe. It was 20.
Yeah, you get 20 bigs max.
So obviously the bounties we can calculate what they're worth, right? Like I think the bounty prize pool was like 1.5 million, and like no,
it was like
I'm way
it was
off.
a 1,000 was going into the bounty pool and of the 3K buy-in, and if you account for a little bit of rake, you've got like, let's say you've got like 1,700 or 1,800 for every buy-in going into the prize pool, and then 1,000 going into the bounty pool. So you've got a prize pool that's just about 1.7x or 1.8x the bounty pool.
Right. Yeah. So I think that there were 700 players total, or
Should be 700.
closer to 800. Closer to 800 players. So yeah, it was something in the neighborhood of like 700K. We can obviously do the math. I think there was like 250 people remaining. So it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of
3K.
That seems high. I feel like when I did it in real time, it was less. It was like 1,500. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. The exacts don't matter. My point is, we can get to the value of what a bounty is worth on the aggregate.
Yeah.
How does that factor in then? Because obviously, I don't think that you could just reframe it as chip EV decisions, because there's negative impact to you if you're the covered stack. But I saw some like wild shit taking place at my table. Like,
yeah. So the thing,
calling off a 7 deuce.
So the thing about bounty tournaments is they invert the risk. Excuse me. The risk premium model. So in a bounty tournament, you can actually have a negative risk premium where you need about 2, 5, 10% less equity than you usually would in order to call it all in. And so that influences the whole game tree in a bunch of different ways, where certain situations where you have somebody covered, like the fact that you get that negative risk premium on an all-in because on top of the chips that you expect to win or lose when you go all in, you also have some equity to win the bounty. It alters the whole tree in the same way that regular ICM puts a risk premium and makes you less willing to get all in. So that negative risk premium in bounty events is what affects the decision making the most, and it's why you'll see players, getting into spots where the bounty becomes like the priority in a certain situation, and they'll get it in super wide. The interesting thing about bounty events, though, is understanding the difference between like understanding where that point is, where the bounty is important, but it's not as important as the chips that are in play in the hand, right? Because if you're chip leader and you're playing a hand against the second stack, their bounty matters, but you don't want to lose 80% of your chips in one hand, because now your ability to get future bounties is going to be impacted. So bounty tournaments are really like unsolved, or at least they are incredibly difficult to actually solve because there's too many variables.
And
so
like just
they're really fun.
Having some friends that do quick math, I suppose. So we're saying that maxing in this spot is actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense in spite of the fact that, you have, well, I shouldn't even say in spite of the fact. It just puts you in a situation where, like, your value hands go way up in value, right? Like the EV of those hands
Just
go.
because you're the more likely to get called.
Yeah, like I raised called off 22 with King Jack off cut off first big blind, and like that's a very, very, very close chip EV spot.
Isn't the inverse also true, where like you're not going to get shoved through as often?
Yeah, so your bluffs become
Right.
negative
Right.
EV.
Yeah.
Right. It becomes a game of linear value instead of a game of polarization. Like it becomes a spot where bluffing the river, like jamming the river with a polarized range as a with a value range and a bluff range, like it's not really much of a thing in bounties very often, because the negative risk premium means your opponent has a huge incentive to bluff catch you with any kind of bluff catcher.
Right.
So you stop having any incentive to bluff whatsoever, and it just becomes a game where like a lot of your normal bluffs just check down, and then you go for thin value with the second pair and shit like that.
Finally, we get to merge.
Yeah.
Yes, the merge is back.
Finally.
Berk.
The word merge is going to become uswell again.
The triple range merge is here.
You say the merge is great, and then you get jammed on.
Yeah.
We were so ahead of Ethereum. Like we were merging before.
Oh. Yeah.
Way before them.
We weren't merging rivers. We weren't like jamming second pair for value on river because third pair is going to call. That's a tricky one. That's odd.
No, we were.
We were just like three-betting queen jack suited and calling it a merge.
No. There are definitely spots, and granted, this is mostly in cash, but there are definitely situations where like you get to river and you jam a hand where better will fold because it blocks bluffs, or at least I don't want to necessarily imply that this is theoretical, but like in practice, better will fold because it just like serves as a really poor bluff catcher, but worse calls.
Oh, you know what? I found a spot, or somebody else found a spot. Like yesterday that I just saw it was in a solver that was that exact thing. It was a board of like ace deuce 3, ace 4 with 3 clubs, and it was a spot where ace king, it goes bet flop, call, check, bet out of position, bets like 2/3 on river, and ace king like jams for value. And it was a spot where 5x like the straight and some clubs, like most of the straights and a little bit of some flushes were actually folding, but a decent amount of trips was actually calling. So ace king was jamming to get straights and some flushes to fold, but to get called by like ace 7 with some frequency as well.
Mega Master.
So it actually does happen in the solver
merge
sometimes.
is here.
The merge is here.
We call it the Mega Master. Where
But
like
it's really all about like card removal, and it's so difficult to find that spot in game. Like I would really be shocked if anybody can look at that spot and go, "Oh, if I jam ace king here, he's going to call with ace 7, but he's going to fold a 5."
Well, it's tough in theory, but in practice, like there's a lot of players where you can kind of just like get in their head and know the way that they think, and you're just like, oh yeah, he'll level himself with this portion of his range and like with this portion of his range.
Man, I dream of getting to that point.
Yeah.
I'm not at that level yet.
Yeah.
the Mega Masters are real. Like sometimes second pair would be a good one, where like you get some
Top pairs to fold.
You get like the under pairs to the, if it's like ace XX or whatever, and you like you just like start tripling off like 9-8 or some shit.
Yeah.
And like you just get like 10s through kings to be like, well, this really fucking sucks.
Yep.
But still have equity, and then you still get called from like some combo draws in some spots.
Yeah.
Where really cool, but you look really stupid when it doesn't work.
Only if you allow yourself to look stupid.
It's true.
If you just don't give a fuck,
You don't care. You don't care.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
Never care. Why care?
Why
Right.
care?
Why care?
Don't care about anything.
No, here's the thing. To care would be to give the power to other people to imply that they know what the fuck they're doing, which is just not true.
Yeah, you just windmill it and you just say, yeah, like, fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, windmill it over, man. Let's go.
They say something, doesn't matter.
What are your plans for this year? I know that, obviously you've been working for us or with us, I guess, for the better part of 5 years now, and
Yeah, wow.
I promote you as like one of the best teachers that we've come in contact with.
Thank you.
And I also say it with the caveat of like, I almost think it's a blessing and a curse for you in the sense that you're so good at teaching, it sometimes becomes difficult to put in a lot of volume actually playing.
Yeah, it's funny. Every single year, I tell myself this is going to be the year I'm going to play more and coach less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I get to a point where if I'm not doing as much coaching or making as much content, my game doesn't improve at the same rate. So I've gotten to a point where I do want to play more, and there's a good chance that this year I am going to play probably my highest volume year for quite a while. So I'm excited about that. But on top of it, like, I don't want to get to a point where I just sort of stop or like take a big long break from coaching and content creation, because my game will stagnate. Like it's just, coaching is how I study, or making content, trying to make better content all the time is how I make sure that I'm always improving and I stay ahead of what concepts are out there. So I don't imagine there'll be a time where I just say I'm just going to play for 6 months and just completely take time off from coaching and content creation, because if I
Good for
did
Solve
that,
for Why.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. But if I did that, I would be playing like crap after 2-3 months, because I just wouldn't be connected to the part of the game that keeps me improving,
Yeah, I feel that way too. I often say that, Solve for Why has been a labor of love, but it's also like kept me able to compete at the highest stakes. Otherwise, I almost certainly would have, I don't even want to say gotten lazy, but it's easy to rest on your laurels when you've been doing something for so long and doing it well. But the problem is that it's not a static environment, right?
The times are changing.
Yeah, it's forever changing, and what you were doing well yesterday might be a mistake tomorrow. So I do agree with you a lot in the lessons learned for the teacher itself or himself whenever constructing all of this content might oftentimes be greater than the actual lessons that can be distilled down to other people. Simply because this game is hard, right? So the things that I internalize when I create content and try to simplify for others, they lose that nuance, right? So they don't actually have the depth of understanding that I had whenever I went into creating it, right? Which now serves me way more than it serves them. And that's not to say that the content itself is now worth less. It's certainly not. It's just to say that it's worth something intrinsic to the creator himself, because there's outside bottom line attached to it, right? Like you're mastering your craft at the same time, as well as being a better educator. Do you think that will hinder you at all, or I guess do you have any aspirations at all to pursue a higher ABI and try to really get in the mix with maybe the PokerGo Studio and the 10Ks and a little bit stiffer competition?
Yeah, I certainly do. I mean, I think the one area that, in fact, this trip has kind of highlighted for me, just the one area that I think does suffer a little bit for me is just the fact that when I do play, I'm mostly playing a lot of stuff that's in Vegas. I'm playing WSOP stuff. I'm playing, a lot of fields that are very good value, but I'm not getting as many opportunities to get out there and actually mix it up with players who are, elite level. And I think in 2022, I was lucky enough to play some events where I got some table draws where I played with really tough opposition. And it was just that in itself was really fun and, kept the game exciting for me. So I'm certainly this 25K that I'm playing tomorrow, I don't intend for it to be the last 25K that I play, for sure. And I certainly would enjoy, being out there more often, competing against tough competition. It's just, you got to strike that balance, of making sure that you are, competing against players where, it's interesting, it's exciting, it's keeping you improving, but you're also not narrowing your EV or reducing your EV so much that you're subject to a huge amount of variance. And at the same time, I have a family and I have a life outside poker, and it's not always easy to just be super focused on poker to the point where everything revolves around I've got to be in top shape for these really elite level tournaments that I'm going to play, so I don't mind having times in the year where I'm not playing very much so that I can focus on other stuff and I can be a little bit more family oriented and not necessarily have to be constantly just preparing to be out there battling, you know. So it's a balance, I guess, that's required from me. But I certainly want to be out there competing in big events, and this trip's been a great opportunity to do that, you know.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, that's a big sticking point, I guess, like with my follow-up, because I do know you to be family-oriented, home-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to like start traveling a little bit more for?
I am, but I've also found with this trip that the circumstances of travel matter a lot, you know, in that I'm going to be away. I mean, let's say I was to, you know, play the whole of the 25K. My trip is booked through like next Friday. So that'll be like 2 weeks away from home.
Yep.
Right. And I don't mind that. But if I had gone to Florida before here as well, it would have been 3 weeks. Now we're getting to the point where like my wife's just at home on her own. Like she doesn't know a lot of people in Vegas. Like she doesn't have a lot that she would be like preoccupied with if I was away. You know, she doesn't work, like she works from home, she's a writer, so it would be a pretty solitary existence for her. And at the same time, like I like being at home. You know, I'm certainly, while I'm here, like I miss my wife, I miss my cats, you know. I'm looking forward to getting back, but like I'm not averse to traveling. So it's a question for me of like finding the right places to go where the EV of the trip is enough to justify the effort in comparison to just staying at home, plus, you know, looking at like going to places that I actually want to go to, you know, like coming to the Bahamas to play, like that's not an opportunity you get every day. So I was super excited to do this. And there are a bunch of other places that I want to go. Like I want to do one of the EPTs or something like Barcelona or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to do Florida at some point. I want to do like LAPC or something because my wife and I go to LA all the time. So there's a bunch of events that I definitely want to do, but there's also other stuff where I could do it. I could travel to, I don't know, I could go to like the WPT that they have in like Oklahoma or somewhere.
Choctaw,
right?
baby.
Choctaw,
Let's
right?
go.
Yeah, like, I could go to that. I could go to that. I'm sure I'd be winning in the event. Like I'm sure it'd be good EV.
You could join us. We're going, baby.
Okay, fair enough. But like, how much is it worth the trade-off of, you know, being away from my family for a week or whatever if I'm going to a place where if it wasn't for poker, I wouldn't really be very interested in going there anyway. You know what I mean? So it's a balance always.
That's something that I personally struggle with because I don't care that much about tournaments to really chase it. But I am seeing the growth there in the space, and I guess I'm like getting reinvigorated to travel a little bit more. Like WPT also does a really great job, right? So the way the schedule is set up is the last week of April, you're in Florida for the WPT main. It's like 5 days. And then 2 days later, Choctaw main kicks off.
Wow.
So it's like if you're going east to west anyway, it's on the way.
Right.
And you just stop at like this Oklahoma casino, you play at 3,500 and you get the hell out of Dodge the second that you bust. Right? Because like you're right. Like you're not going to go like just hang out with the locals and chat them up and, you know, get some good barbecue.
I was going to say, they got good barbecue there.
They do have
man.
good barbecue,
It's
but like
might be
Yeah,
worth it
and-
to stick around.
And for me, it's also like there's sort of like a couple of different types of trips I could do. Like I could do a longer trip and my wife could come with me because she'd be happy to do that. And we'd just, you know, find a cat sitter or whatever. Like we'd go somewhere for a few weeks. We've definitely talked about that, and that'd be great. There's also a short trip, a few days away from home is pretty easy for me to just go on my own, come back, whatever. This trip is like right in the middle of those two things where it wasn't quite long enough or interesting enough for my wife that she would want to come with me. But it's also much more than just a few days of me being away from home, you know? So it's like this gray area where we weren't sure if like, is it worth her coming with me and stuff like that. But in the end, she was just like, I don't really care about the Bahamas. I'm not a beach person. Like you just go and I'll just chill at home, you know? So with other places, it might be
Yeah, there'll
different.
be more opportunities.
Like
for
I
sure.
say, if I was going to Europe, if I was going to Barcelona or something, she'd be like, I'm coming. I don't care, you know? So it would just be a question of where I'm going.
Conrad's going to go to Europe.
Yeah.
Where we going?
Connie's hitting Europe. Nice.
Mark, are we bringing the
Well,
podcast
hold
to
up.
Europe?
No, anywhere but France.
Wow. What do you got against France?
They take too long.
That would be one.
They do tank a lot. That's true.
Yeah, you know, there's just some things that, you know, I just can't stand for in life anymore.
And the French is one of them.
And listen, man, I just can't walk around with a fucking stop clock. I just can't do it. I'm just gonna I would literally walk.
I've had the exact opposite experience. I saw you and Ron Reese both tweeting about how slow the gameplay's been. I've had the exact. Granted, I've had like full blown wreck tables in every event that I played.
Nice
which is
life.
probably why I bagged every event that I played. But the pace of play has just been very, very speedy. Even day 2 of the mystery bounty, which I don't think we had a single wreck at our table. It was quick. Nobody was really taking long to make a
Yeah,
decision.
I played one event. I played the 1100 freeze out yesterday. It was
So, like-
I mean, it was hard for the tourists to keep up. It really was. I was like, okay, we're playing real fast here. All right, think quick.
So like on it was the mystery bounty, I believe. I was at the table with it was Espen, Phil Bohr, and 5 other people that wanted to impress them, and they all wanted to tank longer than the next one, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I almost
the
lost
one-up
it.
competition.
So there was this one hand that just went on for like 7.5 minutes, and I realized at that moment when this kid flipped over jack high after he took 4 minutes to bluff it off, like on the river, 4-minute decision. I'm all in. 1 minute call, flips over jack high. Conrad says, "It took you 4 minutes to fucking figure out that you want to bluff it off with jack high? Is this really what the fuck just happened?" I lost my shit at that
This
moment.
poor guy, he just punted it off, and you have to give him a tongue lashing.
Conrad's
snapped.
in the corner with an oxygen tank because he can't breathe.
Yo, you have no idea. I snapped. I was like, this can't be real life. I was
Do you think I've been actually considering this, but I think it's like too pompous and for lack of a better word, cunty. Do you think it would be do you think it would be poor form, basically, if your head's up in a pot and the guy is taking too long to just say, "Look, man, you're betting quarter, 3/4, or you're checking.
I do this all the time.
Do one of them."
I do this all the time.
Like, I'm not going to be confused by whatever action you take here. Just
Yeah.
do one of them.
I've reached a point where I'm like on the verge of saying that to some guys sometimes. Like, I have to say though, it is funny when they take forever to think about a decision and then they just make some incredibly punty play. Like, it is always pretty funny where I'm like, you spent so long thinking about that, but I can guarantee you that the solver would tell you that's a mistake.
Well,
you
a
know?
lot of it is like rationalizing in your head why you're about to do the thing you're going to do.
You know what it is maybe there's something different about the way that Europeans are like processing the tilt that they're on. You know,
Right.
maybe they're like processing their emotions in a different way, and it just takes them a long time to arrive at the decision to punt it off.
Yeah, I will say, generally in America, punts come quick.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they're very instinctual. Like, you're programmed to punt. You're not like sitting here running around trying to find a way to get there. You
You're
know?
getting the instant punt.
Yeah. Just like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to do this. I don't think you have it, Tim.
And I literally, that's like the 5 seconds that it takes to, put all the chips in.
Yeah, I mean, I understand though. Like, there have been a lot of decisions where I land on river, and it's like I know that I have what's likely to be a bluff candidate, and it's hard for me to have full scope of what the range is to know if this is a hand that mostly wants to go small because it's slightly too good, or if it mostly wants to go off because it's actually bottom of range. You really have to sit there and kind of like run through what's happened, run through how your range is supposed to narrow, and just be like, okay, I have queen jack on a king 10 XXX board. Is this one of those hands that has like a little bit too much showdown value, or did I take action such that this is actually bottom of my range and I need to be like overbet jamming?
Yeah. You know what I have realized during this trip that I really hate though is it's a very specific thing, and it's mostly a lot of Europeans that do it. And I know partly they do it because they don't speak great English, but what they do is they have their chips all stacked in whatever way, and then they're about to jam all in. And instead of just saying all in or just like verbalizing it in some way, what they'll do is they'll stack all their chips in a way where they can push them all at once. So they go to the effort, they stack everything together in some way, and it'll be usually like really precariously stacked. And then they'll move it all into the middle. And it takes sometimes 20 seconds just to make the act of going all in when you could just say all in. I'm just like, why not just verbalize your action? Like these people are so intent on never verbalizing an action for some reason. And it's just, I don't understand why people do that. Just say all in.
I kind of like the pyramid building, but do it after you say all in.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, build a pyramid, build a little creation of whatever you want, but like just say all in and let everybody move on and decide.
This is all very tournament-y problems. Like when you just grow up playing cash games, like you develop certain like arrogance around certain actions.
Yeah.
To the point where it's actually a problem in cash games because a lot of times there's a high volume of chips.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing multiple denominations, and the one chip flip all in is like the most asshole thing that you could do, but it's so common. It's just it's like the most common way to be all in whenever you're playing a cash game, and it's like that's why those buttons are like so great actually that the dealers have.
Yeah,
Guys,
no, they're great.
Nobody told me that Matt Hunt bought a Harley Davidson.
What do you? Because he has a tattoo?
Because I have a tattoo.
I was gonna ask him about his ink,
This
yeah.
is Biker Matt. Look at this, bro.
This isn't biker shit. This is a tattoo from a video game. This is literally a copy of a tattoo.
I
from my
will say,
favorite
I
video
will say, if we had the capabilities to just like put the thug life glasses down on your shot right now, that would be great.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. You know what's funny is I get
Crop in a bandana.
I am so white that everybody thinks this is new, even though it's 3 months old. Like literally 3 times in 2 days at the table, I was asked, "Is that a new tattoo?"
Yeah.
To the point where this one dealer who was there, the first this dealer asked me, "Is it a new tattoo?" I explained it. Then an hour later, with the same dealer, someone else at the table asked me the same question. I did the explanation again. The next day, somebody else asks me. The dealer is on the next table, and he hears the guy ask the question, just like burst out laughing because everybody is asking me, "Is this tattoo
That's
new?"
incredible.
Kind of a
I'm
good
just
thing.
so pasty white.
Is it
looks
done? Or are
new.
you gonna put some color in it or what?
Oh, it's done. It's completely done.
Yep.
It's 3 months old. Like I'm just really white and it looks new.
What inspired you to get a tattoo? That's your first one, right?
Yeah, it is my first one. Honestly, I'm not really sure. It's the kind of thing that would have been pretty out of character for me a few years back, but I have friends.
I was surprised when I saw you get it. I was like, wait, what?
Right, like it's the kind of thing where I was like, you know, why shouldn't I do this? You know, why what reason do I have to not do it if it's something that is kind of meaningful for me? I just talked about it with my wife, and she was just like, yeah, go do it. Whatever.
Was it something that you wanted for a long period of time and just like didn't feel like it was part of your character, or did you just grow an urge?
It was just something where like this. Like I said, this is from like favorite video game of mine, and it's the kind of thing where I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to get that tattoo because I've seen a bunch of people get this tattoo, and then I just thought about it. I was like, what reason do I have to not do this if I think that would be cool?
Yeah.
You know? And so it wasn't really a long process that I'd always wanted to get a tattoo or whatever. I was like, I just thought about it. And I was like, why not? You know,
How many
just do
people
it.
get the reference?
So far, a couple of people have gotten it when I've explained it to them. And they've been like, oh, yeah, of course, it's that one. Nobody as yet has come up to me and been like, is that this, right? Is that this tattoo from The Last of Us Part 2, by the way, if you're wondering. But it will eventually, people will start to get it more because the game that it's from is currently being made into, it's an HBO show right now.
Oh, really?
And when they get to season 2 of that show.
What is the HBO show?
It's The Last of Us. Yeah.
Oh, The Last
They
of
just
Us.
made the show of a video game.
Yeah. And when they get to season 2 of that show and this tattoo actually appears, people are going to be like, oh, you have the tattoo from the show. Like, oh, they've actually someone's done let me line it up. All right. There we go. Perfect.
Oh, Guapo, you're the best.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I
love
honestly,
that.
I really thought that Sons of Anarchy was starting to film in Vegas. And
I
was
do
like,
actually
Matt
have
Berkey.
regular shades. So just put these on.
I know
You
this,
have
I
to
know
put
this
the
is
other
gonna be a
shades on
hilarious
his
thing to
shades.
say, but
I
that
can't
is
see
such a
shit now.
racist comment out of you, Conrad. Like, oh, white guy with tattoo. He must be part of a biker gang. Jesus.
Oh, that's great.
Oh man. Well, Hunt, we appreciated it. We're gonna talk GPIs for a minute. You're welcome to stay if you like.
Yeah, I'll stick around.
All right, cool.
Stick around.
We gotta actually hit the main topic at some point. So, the Global Poker Index GPI rhythm. So I think it's if I get this correct, it's Global Poker Index is with Hendon Mob now.
Yeah, GPI THM.
Yeah, to create the. I said poker rhythm. I'm an idiot. I'm way off in outer space. Yeah,
GPI
shout out
and
to
the Hendon
Waxman.
Mob.
yeah. What Landon said. Let's go. With
GPI
that.
THM.
Yes. God, so many acronyms this show.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So many.
He's gonna
That's a
keep up,
really
man.
weird, awkward acronym too. They need to like merge it in some way. They need to just
Yeah.
create a better acronym.
I see what they did and I like it because it kind of turns into a word. But yeah,
it doesn't really sound like.
I don't ever think of the Hendon Mob. Well, because of the THM, like the ITHM, the
Yeah,
ithm.
yeah.
But I don't really ever think of the Hendon Mob as THM.
It's the GP isms.
Right, yeah, the GP ithms. The GP ithms.
Yeah.
We're about to do it. They announced, they just announced that the awards are going to be happening again at the PokerGo studio as they have for the last couple of years. I believe the dates are, so this is the 4th annual. Do we have dates? I don't think so. Maybe not. But if I recall, it's sometime in the spring. So I think it's either like late March, early April. I almost said January 23rd because that was the initial date up top. Oh, nope.
That's 5 days ago, so it's not
Yep, it's not.
6 days ago.
Like
January
February
23rd.
2nd?
No, that's nominees. That's when they'll be announced. Anyway, sometime in the fall, while Guapo scrolls that, maybe we'll come up with a date. But sometime in the spring. But yeah, the categories themselves were at least announced, and I believe today, those of us on the panel who have voting rights will be getting the finalists. So I think it was like a week and a half ago, we were all sent an email with the categories. We could go in there, choose 5 people that we wanted to nominate from a list of however many. Some categories it was like 30, some it was much fewer, like 15. But basically, I think there are a few hundred people on this voting panel who choose who the nominees for the finalists will be. Then we do a second round where we actually have each category down to finalists. Call it 10 per. I'm not really sure. I'll find out later today whenever I get the email. And I think we select 2 or 3. And then from there, the public gets to see who's actually up for nomination.
Ceremony is March 3rd, Matthew.
March 3rd. Okay. Right during the Wynn Millions. Perfect.
Yeah. The start of the Wynn Millions.
Yeah, we'll play some tournaments. We'll go hang out on an award show. So the categories, there are a few new ones this year. I'll run through them really quickly. Best trophy, best hand, favorite live stream, which is new this year, breakout player, final table performance, Twitter personality, which we can talk about Melissa being very upset that she was snubbed on, streamer, vlogger, rising star in content creation, again, I believe a new one this year, industry person, tournament director, best event, mid-major tour, broadcaster, podcast, media written, media video, comeback player, and media content photo. And I believe that there are some other ones as well that we don't actually partake in or vote on. I know that there's the write-in one. What is the name of that one? Jonathan Little won it last year, or the year before rather.
It's like outstanding contribution to poker or something.
Yeah,
or like...
most influential or something along
like
those
that.
lines.
Yeah.
The Japanese guy won it last year.
Masato.
Yeah. Anyway, I know that that's one of the major ones that all the fans vote on. So that will be going live if it hasn't already shortly, I would imagine.
Podcast, you say?
Podcast, yeah. We were in there. We had a couple.
Are you allowed to vote for yourself?
So you're not, but I didn't read the rules very closely. So Eric, I'm sorry. You can. Well, to be fair,
no, maybe he'll
no. Well, listen. I think we kind of skirt it because, to be fair, the rules clearly state you're not allowed to vote for yourself if your name appears.
Oh.
And it's just the Only Friends podcast.
Right.
You were voting technically,
for us.
The old self-voting
technically, hopefully we don't lose that vote. But I understand if you have to strike mine from the record. I have a fair degree of confidence we'll at least make it to the next round anywhere where I'll mind the rules.
I gotta say,
better.
I really think we deserve it.
Yeah.
I also have an observation. I am surprised and a little disappointed that there's no Coach of the Year nomination.
I agree,
Right.
actually. And you know what? It's funny you mentioned that because I know it was either last year or the year before, Joey was like kind of memeing that he was going to create a mock award show. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of kicking around categories that we'd like to see added. And yeah, training / coach seemed like a good addition.
Wasn't there was training site of the year at one point? No,
I don't think so. No.
Wow. Okay.
I think we were just talking about it being a thing that needed to be added. But
okay.
I do think that there are like multiple corners to this industry that sometimes get overlooked. So even when the GPIs first started, it was very much an industry-driven award. Like year one when it was in LA or whatever, there was nothing for content creation. There may have been a vlogger of the year, but that was it. And I don't even think that existed yet because I feel like it was like the first year that Nimi was like really getting huge. Yeah. And then year two, they added it. He won it over, Doug and a few other people. I think Joey was nominated for Vlogger of the Year. So like, we were kind of all having a bit of a laugh at how like the categories were kind of like a little misshapen, not including the players quite enough. And then also not really being honest to the space that they were trying to target. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Like when we won our GPI award in 2017 for Dead Money. Yeah. It was for content of the year, and it wasn't segregated at that point between like video, written, whatever. So we were up against a book, an article, a photograph, and something else very strange. So it's like we have this docu-series that's like 100 minutes in runtime, and we're competing against like a photo of a guy at a final table.
How do you decide like is this docuseries better than this photo? Like,
Right.
What the hell?
And also
not
like
belong in
just
the same
how unfair to one or the other, right? Like either to the photo because it pales in comparison to the amount of work that goes into a 90-minute docuseries, or to the docuseries if like the photo's just so aesthetically pleasing that like it's a natural vote. You know what I mean? And that kind of happened to us even last year. I still think that they could break the categories down either by adding more or by being a little bit more mindful. But like To Be Determined, which was 110 minute long feature length documentary, was up against like a 20-second run at once commercial with Jungle Man that was just hilarious. And it's like, here's the thing: whenever they send these out to the prelims for people to vote, you have to do your own research if you're not familiar with the content, you have to watch it.
Right.
So now if you've never seen To Be Determined, which I would imagine 99% of the people on the panel have not, and also probably 99% of them had not seen that commercial, you just click the commercial and watch it for 20 seconds.
Right.
You're not going to watch the documentary.
Watch a 2-hour documentary.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, it does lead to, I don't want to say snubs necessarily, but it leads to a little bit of disparity whenever it comes to the actual voting process. But I think they're getting a lot better. They're adding in a lot of key categories that are recognizing at least the media aspect of this. But I think you're right in saying that the training element has completely been overlooked. And so has the cash game element, right? I think we have enough stream poker now where the player of the year doesn't necessarily just have to be whoever wins the GPI. Don't get me wrong, it's the GPI Hendon Mob award show. So of course, that certainly should be an award.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the GPI certainly should get a GPI award.
Right.
But seems like it's a little remiss, at least in years past, that like someone like Garrett wasn't competing for a player of the year type.
I feel like having a cash game player of the year, stream cash game player of the year is like it's an easy category to have in existence.
Yeah, and if you even wanted to take out the subjective nature of it, you could just categorically track the streams, right, and see like what the PL or P&L is. There's a site that already does that for Hustler. So, it's not like as if it's not public domain knowledge.
Right.
We can make this pretty easy.
Yeah, and off stream doesn't even matter. It's just whatever you see on the stream.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone can be like, oh, I got snubbed. I won so much off stream. It's like, well, you didn't win on stream. So
yeah, win on stream, do better, It's kind of one of those things. But
like you.
Like you would never, ever win that award.
That's fine. You know what? That's completely fine. I have a good shtick going here, man.
You gotta have like a Razzies for poker of like who's lost the most on stream.
So that was kind of the thing that we were talking about was, is it worth doing like a Razzies award show for the podcast where, we come up with all these meme categories. There were two things that like made me not want to do it. One, I don't want to mock the award show that already exists because even though I do think award shows are kind of whatever, that's just my opinion. We assign meaning
for the space in the community.
Yeah, we assign meaning to the things that we want to assign meaning to. So if an award means a lot to you, great. It should mean a lot to you. If it means nothing to you, then no big deal.
Right.
So I don't want to like dilute what's there because to Brian's point, I think it's fantastic for the space.
Yeah.
We don't have reasons to really dress up ever and just socialize with one another, kind of pay homage to each other that or the people in the industry in the space that are doing a great job. It's nice to put them on display for one night, tip a cap to them.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of hard work for the community, and they should be recognized for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Completely agree with that. The other reason why, and this is the bigger reason why, is that I just feel like we couldn't pull it off. I feel like if we did it without... Basically, I would need somebody more creative than me, I think, to come up with the way to do it because we have the perfect host in Melissa. And I wrote this in the tweet. I think we should campaign for her to host the GPIs this year.
Do they not have a host yet?
As far as I know, they don't. But maybe they just have an announcement. But the reason why I wouldn't, if I were them, is because it truly would become a roast. And that's ultimately what this whole thing should turn into.
Now we're talking.
I want to make. I feel like I want to make a reference to a show, but you guys, I almost guarantee you guys wouldn't get it. It's. Any of you guys watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yes, I love that show.
Oh, you love. Okay.
What do you mean? Lamanna's Charlie.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay, you guys actually get it. This is good because you guys are not as pop culture nerdy as me. So, the episode where it's called "The Gang Tries Desperately to Win an Award," and it's all about. They don't get nominated for an award, and they're trying to pretend that they don't care, but actually they really care. And then they stage their own awards show, and they invite a bunch of people to their bar, and then all that happens is Charlie sings a song telling them all to go fuck themselves.
Perfect.
And
I can
feel
do
like
that.
that's us right now. It's like we don't care that we don't win an award, but actually we kind of do want to win an award.
Yeah.
No, I mean, make
we
our
all
own
care.
award show.
I want to win.
Look, I care. I care specifically because I want to have a reason to go. And honestly, like, I guess that's even a little bit of an exaggeration because when it comes to like social settings like that, especially formal ones, it's not my comfort zone at all. Like, it's certainly a stretch, but I am also like aware enough that I avoid these things at all costs.
Offers suddenly popping up there. That's great. Who's the Danny DeVito of this team?
God, I hope it's not me.
It has to be. Who else would it
No,
be?
Berkey's the dentist. Berkey is clearly
Yeah.
Dennis.
Yeah,
he's
I
Dennis.
agree with that.
I'm 100% Charlie.
You're
It's
100%
just- that's
Charlie.
A special face to a jelly.
I think Andre could be Dennis or Danny DeVito
Yeah,
Who could-
he could be.
Andre
Yeah, Andre's Danny DeVito.
or Andre. But yeah, like I'm very conscious that like I go out of my way to avoid these things. So I would like to have to be there.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're nominated, you kind of just like have to suck it up.
Excuse for me to get some new threads. I mean,
Yeah, there you
I never
go,
go
man.
shopping,
There
so
you go.
like, hey.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You know, we got to get out there every now and again. But I do think that it's always fun, even though it's not always well intended. It's always fun whenever the finalists are announced, and people who do feel like they've put in hard work, but also. I shouldn't say, but also people who feel like that they deserve to be on the list, you know, kind of come out with complaints and then align it also with, but I don't even care about awards.
yeah.
Like, I always find
Can't
that to be an
can't have
entertaining
one or the other.
conversation.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, well, it can, right? Like, you can literally not care about the awards, but also care that you
right.
weren't acknowledged.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like
yeah.
that's kind of
true.
like the
Right.
weird catch-22 of it all that I find to be very funny for the award show. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what the finalists are. You know, I know that I obviously want to win Podcast of the Year, but I make this campaign every single year. I think it's criminal that Brokus hasn't won it yet for Thinking Poker. And I say that as somebody who's been nominated for the last like 3 years with the vlogcast for the last 2, and then now hopefully we make it to the finals with the podcast. But I think it's crazy that he doesn't even make the finals every year, let alone like has the acknowledgement of winning. I truly think that, like, as far as an interview podcast goes, he's easily one of the best out there.
Oh yeah, and he's been doing it for a long time too.
Very consistent.
I
yeah.
did his podcast in like 2014 or something. Like,
Yeah.
Before I knew fucking anything about poker, basically. But like, he's been around for a long time. He's been grinding that podcast. He's interviewed everybody. Like, he deserves some recognition.
Funny enough, that's how you and I met, was actually on a podcast. You interviewed
It was
me.
my podcast. It was my old podcast for Tournament Poker Edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Small world.
Yeah. Hunt interviewed me. We were like, we should start a training site.
Yeah.
No, that's not
Well,
what happened.
you'd already done it. You just hired me, so I didn't have to do anywhere near as much as you did.
Yeah, I think we were actually like a year away from actually working together at that point. But
Yeah.
I do remember like getting along really well and having a lot of shared values whenever we were on the pod.
Yeah, for sure. It was fun.
Yeah.
Just enjoy that pod.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us. They're starting to set up for the day. Conrad's drunkenly walking around. We got to get this. I mean,
Yeah.
Now Conrad's running back
Conrad,
over
you have
just
to
so
come
he can.
get in here, Conrad. You have to close the show
Hunt,
out.
he's
And on that note-
literally drunk.
Wow. I can't tell the difference. I've
When he
never
sticks
seen-
his tongue out, you know he's drunk.
I've never seen Conrad drunk before, but I literally would not have known if you'd not said that.
That's because he's fun no matter what, but he honestly is a very fun drunk. But he's literally drunk. He fell asleep in a hallway somewhere in the Baja Mar after the players' party.
Wow.
I did not fall asleep in the fucking hallway. It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
But
Sure it was.
But I did fall asleep somewhere else.
I can't tell you how fucking miserable this podcast has been for me this morning. Every time I'm not in this seat, there's a reason, and it's kind of miserable. But on that note, we're going to close up this show. Matt, thank you so much for rocking
you
with
very
us.
Thanks for having me.
Please come by whenever you want. You see where we're at. We're at the long table. You know, we here, baby.
I'll come by. I gotta
We're
go
here.
win this 25K, but I'll come by when I got some time.
There's second available for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool.
I'll take that.
All right, lock it up. All right, well, thank you again. Thanks, Berkey, for hanging out with us today.
Anytime.
We
Happy
really
birthday,
appreciate
Berkey.
it. Happy fucking birthday.
Happy
you, sir.
birthday.
To
Fuck,
you
it's
and
your
the love
birthday
of my
today.
life today.
I knew it was soon. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, you know.
We might have a special guest tomorrow. I just got a text message. Maybe Lex, maybe Spraggy. We'll see.
Okay,
It's
cool.
in the works.
That sounds fun. All right, well, again, thanks for rocking with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Peace.
We out.